The ThunderMax installation video you are about to watch applies to Softail model Harley-Davidsons 2001 and up. You can find all of our installation manuals and guides online at www.thunder-max.com. Here are the tools you will need to complete the installation.
First thing we're going to do once the seat's removed is remove the ECM fuse and the fuel pump fuse, which is located right behind the battery in front of the ECU. And the diagram is right on the top of the cover. You flip that over. This is, as you can see, this is the ECM fuse and this is the fuel pump fuse. Once the fuses are removed, then we can remove the ECM, the stock ECM. Want to just kind of break those loose and work them to free up the Loctite. Once they're freed up, and by pressing the tab down, just want to gently wiggle it back and forth, work it so it doesn't mess up the seal, and you can hear it actually pop loose. Right here you can see the quad seal that seals the connector to the ECM. We want to make sure we don't damage that removing or installing it. That's why you just kind of take your time wiggling it and let it break its seal, and it'll slide off pretty easily. Okay, with the stock ECU removed, we can now install the ThunderMax with auto tune. Just want to gently place it into the plug and wiggle it back and forth until the snaps. We'll lay it in place, get some screws, install the 4 screws. And with the fuses still removed, we're going to remove the battery. Always take the negative side loose first. Most models you have to raise the battery up a little bit to get to the screws. Make sure the negative is away from the battery. Don't get any sparks. Then remove your positive terminal. Then lift your battery up. You want to cut these wire ties and feed this is the front, and put it underneath. Okay, then feed the end of it right in through the back side. And we're going to pull it right out the back of the oil tank and let it hang for now. We want to go ahead and install the O2 sensor that comes with the ThunderMax. It's a wideband O2 sensor, and as you can see, it has the anti-seize already on it. If it's not on there, you want to go ahead and make sure you have some on there. If you ever change your pipes or want to remove it, it really aids in removing it. Go ahead and install the O2 sensor in the pipe. I'm making them about as tight as a spark plug. I'm just taking and feed the wire to the other side of the bike with a spark plug, about 18 pounds. We'll pull the wire through the other side, and then we'll go around the other side and thread it up to the ThunderMax. See the O2 wire sticking out? We're just going to slip it right in here between the oil tank and the primary cover. Then there's an opening in the back of the oil tank. Feed it into, and it pulls right up. Reach down. Alright, I'm going to cut the wire ties holding the wire trough on the left side of the bike. Okay, we want to get the connector behind this trough. Then we're just going to lift this trough up so you can get underneath it here. Take the lead, slip it under, and down here we want to get the wire so it's in behind the other harness. Feed it through. and then we can make our connection with this is the rear O2 sensor. Plug that in. Now it's plugged in. Okay, we want to put the wire ties back on the troughs. Put two over here from the ones we cut when we did the front O2 sensor. We'll just trim them up. Next thing we want to do is go ahead and plug the data port connector from the auto tune into the data port in the bike. Just move your plug, push it in until it snaps, and put it back on its perspective pin. And you can just leave the wire lays in there just real nice, neat. Next thing we want to do is go ahead and reinstall the battery. We still have the fuses out. We don't want to put the fuses in until we got the battery in. And once we get the battery, let's lower it down. It is easiest if you hold it up a little bit to start your screws. You always want to put your positive back on first. And we'll get the ground on there. Tighten our ground up. And we'll make sure the battery's all the way down and sitting down inside. And go ahead and reinstall the fuses. So again, you can see these are the relays. This is the way it sits. The ECM fuel pump. Just pop them back in. And we'll just take and tuck this connector right down in there. See if we can't lose the rest of the wire up in here. Give a little press it down. And this is the rear O2 sensor. Hey, once again we're going to install the ThunderMax wideband O2 sensor with the 6-pin plug. Remove the protective cover. Make sure you have the anti-seize on there. And we'll just thread it right into the pipe. Screw it up in as far as I can with my hand. And I'll tighten it up with the O2 sensor wrench. And make it about as tight as a spark plug. And take the wire, lead, feed it across to the front of the engine. So we can go around the other side and we'll hook it up to the lead from the ThunderMax. I'm going to take the lead coming from the front O2 sensor, lay it under the pipe. I'm going to take the front lead coming from the module, feed them underneath the exhaust pipe, plug them in, then we'll put some wire ties to hold it in place. Once you know that you have all the wiring for the ThunderMax, everything in place, covers back on your fuses. If you have any accessories powered by the battery at the battery terminal, you want to make sure that those terminals are under the bolt for the battery and not between the battery wire cable and the battery terminal. And it's pretty easy to pick up other places for negatives on the frame rather than on the battery, leaving the battery clean and free of any other connections where the cable is right to the battery with just the bolt. Now, that's going to keep it tight. It's not going to be less likely for it to come loose and cause an arcing problem.
This concludes the ThunderMax installation video for Softail models. Please view our basic setup for the ThunderMax EFI system for map selection and initial ThunderMax setup.